Welcome back. When someone who is meant to be your protector in life is the one hurting you, how do you overcome that? We're speaking with Alison, who has overcome this by establishing a successful business here in Brisbane. Alison, you and your husband, you run a business from home, and I'm just wondering, where does the inspiration for Photo Show on DVD come from?
After working about 20 years in the corporate section, I felt that I wanted to do more. And I wanted not just to have a business where it's a profit or anything. I wanted to give something special to someone. And I felt that something that's simple, something that's filled with joy, that would actually be a whole change in what, having a business is all about.
Right.
And we stumbled upon having photo show because while studying in Brisbane, my mom was in Singapore and only had 1 or 2 photos of my life back there. And I was homesick. I missed her terribly. And my husband, Damien, suggested we do something with photos and bring it over to my mom. And I said, can I put music with it? He said, let's find something. And we did. And I did it. I sent it to my mom. And she was just filled with joy because she couldn't be here with us. And when I finally went back to visit her, it's like we never left. We were talking about it. We watched the video, and then I realized that if I could do this to help others to remember their memories, I'd be sharing that joy, and that's something that's different. I've never felt our business as work. It's always been my passion. It's always been something that I really enjoy doing. So it's never felt a day like work.
I've always heard that, if you've got a passion in life, it doesn't feel like work at all.
It doesn't.
You're very lucky.
I was going to ask you also, with the packages that you do you find a lot of internationals and foreigners coming to you? Because, living away from home, they must ask you for quite a few memories to be sent back home.
Yes, I do have a lot of them from various places. We have a lot of regular clients. A lady in the Northern Territory, she does a lot of family memories, movies, and things like that. Nice. She's asked us to send it to the States. I've had people asking me for videos in the UK, in Germany.
Oh, cool.
So I do have...
name's out there.
I do have a lot of people asking to send it to their families. Yeah. And because it is our business, our name's on it. So we do get a lot of people actually writing emails to us, coming back to us, thanking us, and things like that. I think that's the thing that makes it worthwhile.
It's
because
rewarding.
Yeah, it is. And you know that you've done a good job because you've actually helped them and you've given them that joy, or rather made them remember that joy that they had. So it's really fantastic.
That just does not sound like work to me.
No,
not at all. Hard day at the office. Work and independence is obviously very important to you. How do you manage raising a family and working?
It's not easy at all.
Yeah.
I have a really good relationship with my husband. We support each other, and when I nursed my daughter, when she was really young, he would do whatever work he can. So we take turns.
Okay.
And if I had to do something, he'll be there with my daughter. So the relationship that we have it's fantastic.
Sounds like a great teamwork.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean, I'm working with him 24 hours a day and 7 days a week, so...
Oh, we could have another show on that.
Yeah,
sorry.
working together with your husband.
Husbands and wives working together. No.
Also, you're a very strong and centred woman. Growing up in Singapore, was this encouraged to be a strong, independent woman?
In Singapore, yes. I think it's both for men and women.
Yeah.
Independence is encouraged. Here, if you don't have a job, the government does help you in some ways if you need that help. But in Singapore, there's no help. So if you don't have a job, you have to do something about it. And that's the motivation for us to move on, to continue, and not just live in that space where you think, oh, poor me, poor me. We don't think that way. We actually pick ourselves up, move on. And that's what life is all about.
And you find that inner strength in the moments where you don't have a choice but to pick yourself up and keep on going. I was really interested in this question. Does abuse differ from the way it's dealt with in Singapore versus the way it is addressed in Australia?
We're talking about years ago. I think it's a little bit different. I think it is the same, but it is different. What's different is that in Singapore it's a status, and it is something that if something bad happens to you, it's not good. You know?
So it's almost not talked about.
Yes.
It's kept quiet.
It can be kept quiet. It just really depends.
Do you talk about it in the family, though, in the immediate family behind the closed doors?
We do talk about it. I talk about it a lot with my mother because I personally feel if you keep everything in, it's not good for you.
Right.
So I personally spoke with my mom about it. But as I mentioned before, we danced, we just have a good time. So everything emotionally comes out. And that's what you basically need. It needs to come out so that new things can come in.
I agree.
Yeah.
And also in Australia, how do you think abuse, especially with women, is handled? Do you think it's handled in a way where we encourage women to speak out about it, and
You do.
You do?
It is done really well here. It is done in Singapore as well.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you need to realize is that when people come from an abused relationship or a domestic violence, as they call it here, the person that's in it feel that something they have done wrong, okay? That's what happens to them. And for them to come out of that, it's hard. We're talking about self-esteem, we're talking about self-worth. And I think people everywhere in the world feel that. And they need to believe in themselves that they are the only ones that can get themselves out of it. You know, you can have all the support around you, but until the person is ready and sees a clarity in his life and says, I don't want this anymore. I want something else. I deserve something else. When they see that as clear as they can, that's when they'll decide to move up. And that's when the support is excellent for them because, that's what they need at that moment.
Is it easy to get to that point, though, where you feel like you can see clarity through the pain and the despair?
There is a way. There is definitely a way. But you need to understand that these people feel that they are secluded. They're in their own world. So when they see somebody who tells them, you're not alone, there are other people that's going through this, and you need to realize that you're not alone.
Explore that.
After the break, we'll continue talking with Alison and hear what advice she has for women dealing with abuse. Don't go anywhere.